All right, we are in the home stretch. This is class 22, part one of CAM design. We'll also have another class in CAM design, and then the semester will be over. So here we are, CAM 1 and CAM 2, right there in this class 22 and class 23. I don't know what mechanism testing day was meant to be. Anyway, we're going to do the mechanism project presentations on Wednesday the 22nd. So this is sections 8.1 through 8.3, and the bottom line up front. First thing you would want to know at the end of the class is that the time derivative of acceleration is jerk. The main thing that we're dealing with is SVAJ diagrams. So that we have a position, velocity, acceleration, and jerk diagram, and they kind of look like this. All right, so here's the most basic one. We'll be seeing this here in a second, so I don't know why we're talking too much about it. But we have this low dwell, and then a rise up to a high dwell, and then a constant radius where it's in the same position, a horizontal position, and then it starts to fall back. And now, so that's a full cycle. So this is the position S of the SVAJ diagram. So we take the derivative of that, and we'll see it's a step function here. That's not the way we want to do it, but that's okay. That is one right here. So if you can see, that's a constant velocity, therefore it's a constant velocity here. But when you take the derivative of that, the step right here at that transition, its slope is infinite. So boom, and then its slope is negative infinite, and then its slope is negative infinite, and then its slope is positive infinite. And now if you take the derivative of that, you have infinity all over the place, right? So this is our main thing that we're dealing with the SVAJ. This is the initial attempt to try to make a CAM, and you can see it's a bad CAM. But we will be pursuing the fundamental law of CAM design. The CAM function must be continuous through the first and second derivatives of displacement across the entire interval. A corollary is that the jerk function must be finite across the entire interval. So that's the main thing, right? We don't want infinite jumps. So that's the bottom line. When we're done with the class, we should have thoroughly taken that away. I almost kind of want to pause because I remember now that I forgot to make these into animations. But here's what a basic CAM does. A CAM lifts most of the time. It's not all the time, but the majority of the time, it's like lifting something from one position to another. And the way that it does it actually matters, right? It isn't just a bam open, bam closed. There's a transition period, and that's it's important to be able to control that. We'll see some of the different various ways. But CAMs are used a lot in engines, internal combustion engines, but they're also for various motion control in machines. If we want to generate some kind of force, the CAMs can do that. If we want to do precise positioning, they're excellent for that. And event timing, which is also a little bit redundant. They go all the way back to the very first day of class where we talked about trying to create functions, right? Where we have an input, in this case, a rotational input, most often at a constant rotation, but it doesn't have to be. But most of the time, that's what we want. And it's turning into this reciprocating motion, this oscillating motion. And the way in which the oscillation occurs is important to us. So here is the simple CAM as well, with got kind of like a little lobe thing going on here that's rotating about this fixed point. And then this thing is a rocker, and it rocks back and forth. And what's interesting here is that we could kind of draw in instantaneously a little four bar action, with the centers of curvature up here being where some of those upper links are going to be. Also interesting, if we had like a CAM over to the side and more of a a push-pull type of follower instead of the rocker one that's up above, we actually sort of have a slider crank action going on. Offset slider crank in fact, because this pin doesn't need to be in line with the motion of the follower. So that's kind of interesting. The followers are a little bit interesting as well. Like we're depicting most of them as this circle right here. And that's how I made my 3D printed version of this thing. I made like a little roller piece right here, but it doesn't have to be. Here's like a little mushroom follower. Never seen this, but I have seen this. This is the cheap engine that I bought from Harbor Freight. Bought like 3 of them. This is the type of follower that you see for the on the cam for the opening and closing that. So interesting. And here's this right here is sort of a model of what my little engines linkages could be, with where we have a cam follower, a push rod, a rocker arm, and then a valve. And usually there's a spring in here. And for whatever reason, SolidWorks, which I made this in SolidWorks and I made it in SolidWorks Motion, but it doesn't show you the spring. It gives you a preview of the spring, but not when you make an animation. Don't know why. Don't care. Here's also just a kind of a poorly done drawing that I got from somewhere of that engine, and you can see there's the timing is done by a gear on a bigger gear, and these are two times the diameter of that one, because this event happens every other rotation, so that's why the timing gear is like that. On most cars and vehicles, we have a timing belt. There could be a timing chain instead, but not usually gears. And you can see here's 2 different versions of overhead cams. I believe this is the more normal or typical arrangement right here for an overhead cam, as opposed to this, because it would be very difficult to remove that just to pull a piston. But that's my opinion. There's other types of cams than the ones we're referring to. They could be 3-dimensional in nature. They can be quite complicated, but sort of the same sort of idea. The shape of this will determine not only the motion, but also the velocity, acceleration, and jerk of the motion. So there needs to be some consideration if you're doing with that. And I was just making reference to the movie The Jerk, starring Steve Martin. I think it was the late 70s, early 80s. It really put him on the map. Or I guess he was on the map from Saturday Night Live, and he's a stand-up comedian, but his acting career really kind of began with The Jerk. And so I recommend it. All right, so these SVAJ diagrams, I referred to them in the bottom line up front. Here is a way too complicated one, but it was near the beginning of the chapter, so I went ahead and put it here in this location. And this one has 8 different events going on, and I marked them as 1 here. So in here, we're rising up to a dwell at 2. I guess I'm going in the wrong direction. Over here at 2. So this is the higher dwell right here, and then it's dropping down here to the lower dwell, and then it's coming back up. And notably, they have these names: a cycloid, modified sine is the mod sine, modified trapezoid. We'll find out what all these are. Simple harmonic. Okay, so they just mean a sine wave in that case, and they don't look all that much different here in the S version of this thing, right? These 8 different events that are taking place. You can see the velocity looks a little different here than it does there. And still looks pretty close. You can see this one's actually pretty significantly different than these other 3. But then you start to see the shape of the, as you take the derivative of this with respect to time or angle, doesn't matter, by the way, because we're considering the this running at a constant speed, angular speed. So each of these should be the same. The time and the angle should correspond to each other. So it doesn't matter what it was angle. Well, of course, they're showing angle right here, but it could be with respect to time. You can see this is a little bit kind of leaning more to the side than this one. That's part of the modified sine. This one has like kind of a little flat little part to it. That's part of the modified trapezoid, we'll see. Simple harmonic, this is a discontinuity right there. And we'll see that down below, jumping down below, you see that there's a jerk. That has infinite issues, right? So just like in the bottom line up front where I was showing that one, we see that problem. All right, so you see the jerk, and you can see that these are different for each of these things up above. So that's the main idea, is that like the position, which is the most important part in terms of like, because that's the function of the thing. It's coming from the lower dwell to the upper dwell. But how it gets there is going to make a determination of the other parameters there. So here is that first one that we just described in the bottom line up front. This is what he calls this, the naive CAM design, the bad CAM design. And his, what he says, he wants to, he wants to rise 1 inch and then so he wants to stay at the same position for 90 degrees, raise to 1 inch, stay at 1 inch for 90 degrees, and then fall down. So we're calling that a double dwell, right? Because there's a dwell here and a dwell here. And as described, the thing to do is to, in this transition, this rise, was to just draw a straight line. And we saw that created a constant velocity, but then we had these infinite accelerations. The big question is, why is that bad? The easy answer is F equals ma. Infinite accelerations would be, in theory, infinite forces, which would be bad. So that's good enough for us for right now. Like, we don't need to, we can make conclusions about the jerk and so forth, and that not being a good behavior. But if you're predicting infinite forces, you're going to have to change what you're doing. And here's me doing it in Excel, and I did this in Excel in some parts because I could. Let's say I could just go look for it, but here I'll open up Excel, and I think it's the one that just says problems, and we'll go all the way. I did it in 2 different increments of angles. This was the bad cam. I did it in 5-degree increments, and you could see what happened here. Now here's the refined one right here, and you could see I did it in 1-degree increments, and I get the same. I get what you predict, right? Notably, by the way, here's my derivative. Excuse me. So I'm taking the difference between the one before minus the one after, dividing it by the time before and the time after to be able to get what the derivative is. And then, of course, I do it again to get the acceleration, and then I do it again to get the jerk. And you could see from here that it works out, right? And you can see from the other ones. And I've uploaded this Excel to Canvas. So we're good to go. Do I want to keep going? Sure. I'll stop the video here. All right, so here was a long ago. I'm not sure when I did this, but I made the SolidWorks model, and there's a lot of parameters to keep track of to be able to get this. But this is the novice, modeling the novice. Amongst the things is I used a spring between here and to pull this together, to pull that force. But I later had really a difficult time and it would crash all the time using that spring. But I know that I was able to get it to run with a spring. Lately, the way that it was been getting it to run was just with the gravity being applied in one direction, and of course, this piece constrained to move up and down. Here is one that was like that, but you could see that I didn't get the really high peaks I was expecting. I get very similar in the velocity. Lastly, okay, so here's my most recent thing. I made this test rig and 3D printed everything out. So that, and then took a video of it and matched it up with Tracker, right? And not doing a great job, but a decent job of capturing the motion. But it doesn't give me, obviously those infinite spikes that you could expect. Boom. All right, so let me see where we are in my the video recording. 16 minutes. That's a good stopping point. I'm gonna go to my next video after this with the simple harmonic motion and the cycloid. So that was example 8.1, I believe. And so next video we will cover example 8.2 and 8.3, I think. See you soon.